HooHooHooRobin.
It's the Opie and Anthony Show. Colin, Quinn in studio. And now we welcome Dr. Kaku to the Opie and Anthony Show. I want to start by asking you how well you did on your SATs in high school.
Well, I got 800 in the SATs, and in high school, actually, I built an atom smasher. That's what got me into Harvard. I assembled 500 pounds of transformer steel, 22 miles of copper wire. I blew out every single circuit breaker in my mom's house. Every time the lights went out, my mom would shake her head and say, "Why couldn't I have a son who plays baseball? Maybe if I give him a basketball. And why can't he find a nice Japanese girl? I mean, what's wrong with my son? He built these atom smashers in the garage."
An atom smasher?
Yeah, well, it got me into Harvard, so I can't complain.
I guess not, but how do you do that? How do you just build an atom smasher?
Well,
in high school.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to devour all the stuff. Flash Gordon. I used to watch all the Flash Gordon series. Mm-hmm. But I realized very early in life I didn't have blonde hair. I didn't have muscles, and I was not going to get the girl like in Flash Gordon. But Dr. Zarkov, I mean, he fascinated me. I mean, he was a man who built starships. He was a man who built ray guns and cities in the sky. And I said to myself, that's for me.
Yeah. Wow.
See, Anthony, if your dad didn't get in the way, you could have been Dr.
I know.
Kaku. You had very similar upbringings, but Anthony's father didn't want him doing any of this stuff.
I see.
Well,
he smashed his microscope and everything as a kid.
I see.
Well,
the fork in the road, right?
Yeah, it was that fork in the road thing, and it was girls and maybe some marijuana.
Oh, no contest.
And then, science and my love of science, and boy, that was an easy crossroads. I took the evil road.
Well, so many people are interested in science. Look at the movies, right? All the Hollywood blockbusters. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you like Star Wars and Star Trek, you're going to love physics of the impossible, because I'm a Trekkie myself. Mm-hmm. And this book addresses all the things that you see in Back to the Future and the Terminator series and the Time Machine.
So people like looking at that also. They like seeing things that were made a few years back and seeing how our advancements kind of tie into shows like Star Trek, mm-hmm. where they're walking around with a tricorder and a communicator, and here we have cell phones and PDAs that are similar to what they had in the TV show.
That's right. When you watch Star Trek, I mean, it's like watching something from the 50s, because we have all that stuff now.
Yeah, it's not.
We have everything except transporters and warp drive, and we're working on those, by the way. We have cell phones already, mm-hmm. and the transporter, we can already teleport atoms now. This has made big news in the physics community. Shockwaves, we can teleport atoms. One day we will teleport Captain Kirk. There's a catch, though. There's always a catch.
Yeah, what's the catch?
The catch is you have to die going through the transporter.
You have to die.
And, your body is reconstituted, someplace else with the same memory, the same neural circuits, the same genes. And that Captain Kirk over there says, "I'm Captain Kirk." But you just saw Captain Kirk die. And so then where did your soul go?
So is it making a copy?
It's making a copy.
Like The Prestige. Like the movie The Prestige.
Oh, yeah.
They were making copies of people, yeah.
Oh, you saw the movie Jumper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the movie Jumper. Actually, some physicists helped to consult on that movie Jumper.
Really?
Where you disappear and you reappear someplace else, except in real teleportation, you have to die to do it. It's one of the drawbacks of the program.
Boy, that is.
That'd definitely be an asterisk that would keep it from signing up.
Like, hey, you got there fast, but...
Yeah, death is definitely a downer. But there you are, someplace else. Same memory, same personality quirks, same everything. I mean, who is the real you if you just died and there you are someplace else?
All right, so what exactly is, like, the Hubble telescope was built to see the beginning of time.
That's
and
right.
It's gotten relatively close, but, like, there's something in the way and it can't see the actual... They want to see, like, the explosion, the beginning of it all.
Well, we have baby pictures of the Big Bang now. The explosion itself, we photographed it. Go to the website, nasa.gov, type WMAP, that's the name of the satellite, and we have baby pictures of the explosion. It really looks like an explosion. It's in the microwave region. We can't see the instant, however, of the explosion itself. However, the next generation of space satellites should be able to give us the instant of creation itself, and that's going to be great. We're going to see the universe come out of the womb, and maybe an umbilical cord connecting our infant universe to a parent universe, a parallel universe.
It's so hard to wrap your mind around what was there before the Big Bang, because there had to be something.
Yeah, well, we think we know what happened before the beginning. The new picture is a bubble bath. Next time you take a bubble bath, each bubble represents a baby universe. We live on the skin of the bubble, just like flies trapped on fly paper. We can't escape. But there are other universes out there. This is called the multiverse idea.
You're freaking me out now.
Yeah,
man.
and believe it or not, in one of these universes, Elvis Presley could still be alive. I mean, blows the mind, right?
Is he healthier, or is he still shaped like Colin?
Oh, God.
See how that hurts Colin when they start poking fun in the middle of a physics discussion?
Yeah,
What?
in a parallel universe.
Oh, no, Jim, I don't think you really wanted to get me into this, because I wrote down a few of your lines you said to the doctor before you got on
Yeah,
the
they were
air.
having a little small chat before we got back with the show, and Colin was
Jim, if you could have seen, folks,
observing.
the
Yeah.
phoniness.
Yeah.
Norton leaning in the doctor with a bewildered look on his face going, what? I guess this guy's like a fan. Norton starts trying to talk. Here's what he said. Your book's doing well, though, for a science book to be in the top, because you're competition.
No, what I was saying was...
No, that's a direct quote.
No, you
for
missed...
a science book to be in the top, because you're competition.
You took me out of context. That makes me sound like a fool. I was saying is that the book is now number 12 on the bestseller list.
I know.
Which is amazing because you're competing with a lot of non-science books, and for a scientific
Right,
book...
that guys like you, but you kind of the way you were saying it, the tone, non-science books that guys like us wouldn't sully our hands with, Doctor. I mean, non-science books. Why do you say like your idiotic book? Admit to him that's who he's competing against.
There's just a lot of people out there have watched The Terminator. They've watched Back to the Future, and they wonder what happens if you go backwards in time.
Right.
Meet your teenage mother before you're born, and she falls in love with you, right? Well, you're in deep doo-doo if that happens.
Well, yeah.
But a lot of people wonder about these things, and that's why the book is up there on the bestseller list.
It's now you believe that time travel is possible.
That's right. No, Stephen Hawking, my friend, used to say it is not possible. 10 years ago, he gave up. He said it is possible. Not practical. We can't build a machine anytime soon. But, hey, there's no law of physics preventing us from creating a wormhole, mentioned earlier, such that, like Alice, going through the looking glass, that's a wormhole, going back and seeing your parents before you're born.
Isn't there that, see, the whole paradox thing, when that comes into play, just ruins the whole time travel thing. Going into the past, if you meet yourself, you would have had a recollection of doing so before you traveled through time.
It's even worse than this. Think of, for example, a woman time travel scientist who builds a time machine. Eventually, she wants to become a man, so she changes her sex to a man, goes backwards in time, meets herself, makes love to herself, has a baby. That baby's mother and father is herself.
The same person.
Can you imagine being your own mother and father? I mean, it boggles the imagination. But this is what we physicists have to deal with. If time travel is possible, you could be your own mother, father, son, and daughter. Figure that one out.
And then what, that is a little odd. Would it be possible
This guy smokes
to
pot.
go back and kill yourself? But if you did that, you wouldn't be able to grow to the point where you can then time travel, so you wouldn't be able to have killed yourself. Yeah. See, it's just too many really odd things that could happen.
But you missed something. You see, Einstein says that time is a river, and we measure it with our GPS system every day. You cannot use GPS without assuming that time is a river. But the river of time can have whirlpools in the river of time. And then you can even have forks in the river of time. Now, if that's true, and the river of time forks into two rivers, and you went back and killed yourself before you killed your parents before you're born, you kill somebody else's parents before you're born.
Oh.
You've entered a parallel universe.
I like that. So it's like future Biff having the big casino hotel.
That's right.
And they had to go back all the way and fix it from the beginning. They couldn't fix it with future Biff because it was a different fork in there.
We have a physicist here.
Yeah, no, we have a moron that's watched Back to the Future 18,000 times.
Hey, who's texting you? Are you texting abroad as you had to do the big interview with us today,
I just
Dr.
would
Kaku?
hope that it's like the biggest dummy
Right.
on there. Just, hey, I got a question for you. I'm lost.
It's probably Stephen Hawking. Don't mention my name to these idiots. All right, so now I understand the river of time thing, but a lot of people probably don't.
Why are you pointing at Colin as you say that, Jimmy?
I'm not just gesturing to Colin, just gesturing in general. So I was wondering if you could more carefully explain what the river of time means, because I don't want to seem like I'm ignorant, but for the listeners.
No, like you said, what he said, more carefully explain.
More carefully explain.
Think of it this way. Newton thought that time was like an arrow. Time never goes backwards, always goes forward, and a second on the Earth is a second on Mars. However, Einstein comes along and says not so fast. Time is a river which meanders its way around the universe. Time beats faster on the moon than it does on the Earth. Time beats slower for the GPS system than on the Earth, and the Pentagon cannot fight wars with the GPS system unless you put in the fact that time slows down in outer space.
But a river doesn't go backwards.
But that's the new wrinkle. If you have enough energy, we now believe that the river of time can go backwards on itself. This is causing all the excitement. This is called closed time-like loops. Go to the physics literature, type in closed time-like loops.
Doctor, with all due respect, what excitement?
Among the people who are working on about 100 of us. There are about 100 of us on the planet Earth out of 6 billion people who understand Einstein's equations and work with this, play with this, and we do study Back to the Future. We do study these paradoxes.
You, by the way.
Can I say how happy I am, by the way, that when you said but the river doesn't go backwards, he was so ready. Every blithering idiot he's talked to has said that, and he had an answer for it.
I'm the only one that actually thought to ask that question, stupid. You just sat there like this.
Because I assumed the river would go backwards. I don't need to
He was happy to have a spirited debate with a peer.
Called me a physicist, by the way, because I watch Back to the Future. Yeah. Do you guys really sit around and watch a lot of these shows and movies?
That's right, we do, because we have to tease apart the paradoxes. Given a paradox, we have to figure our way out of that paradox, or else the theory doesn't make any sense. You can't publish the paper if there's a paradox in your work. So we have to look at the question, what happens if you kill your parents before you're born? This is something that we have to address.
They would make a pretty much at that moment, a fork would be made.
That's right.
Where you would still exist, but in a different
time stream.
Yeah, time stream.
Right. You've hopped time streams.
Right.
So if you go back and save Abraham Lincoln, you've saved somebody else's Abraham Lincoln from being assassinated at the Ford Theater. Your Abraham Lincoln died 150 years ago.
Well, we do it a little earlier.
So if you go backwards in time and meet Hitler's mother, you can prevent World War II from taking place in that universe, but it's not your universe. A parallel universe has opened up.
So you could screw up other people's universes.
That's right.
But they don't know you're screwing it up. Like somebody theoretically could have screwed up our whole timeline, but we wouldn't know it because it's just history to us. It's just the way things went.
Yeah, you know that TV series Sliders, when they slide between your... The very first episode of Sliders, there's a boy reading a book that starts the whole series. That's my book, Hyperspace. Hyperspace spawned a TV series called Sliders, where you slide between parallel universes and monkey with other people's pasts.
And to them, they don't notice because it's just their past.
That's right. You got it. That's
somebody could have screwed with my past.
Hey, he's got it.
Yeah. See,
but Doctor,
I'm a smart guy.
Just as important, when going back to the Big Bang Theory, at what stage of human development did this kind of tadpole look?
As he points at Jim Norton.
Of course he does.
Yeah. I don't even think he needed to explain where. Like everyone knew where he pointed. He couldn't have pointed anywhere else. He certainly wasn't going to point at himself.
I wish I had Adam Smash and smash your face in right now.
This just goes to prove there's
you don't have a fat smasher.
This just goes to prove that there's no intelligent life on the Earth.
Yes. See?
Doctor, I resent that, actually. I really
Does it suck to live among...
I'm a fellow guest at a peer in the physical world.
Does it suck to live among dummies, Dr. Kaku? Like, you can't just walk around and discuss this stuff with anybody.
Seriously.
Hey, I have to be able to address people's concerns. Because, look, I was a kid, too. I mean, I watched Flash Gordon, Star Trek, and Star Wars as a kid.
Yeah.
I wondered, these are the exact same questions I asked myself when I was a kid. Now I can answer these things. Because, now I can work completing Einstein's unfinished manuscripts, right? We can now go beyond Einstein. So I can answer the questions that I would have liked to have answered if I was a kid.
What type of technology would we need to time travel? There's been so many different versions of a time machine, but as far as you're concerned, what type of actual machinery would be needed?
Okay, you'd need the energy of a star. I mean, a DeLorean can't do it. You're not going to be able to get into a DeLorean and meet your parents before you're born. We're talking about bending time into knots, which means a power of a black hole, a power of a star. You would have to be what is called a Type 3 civilization, a galactic civilization. Now, we are a Type 0 civilization.
Oh, boy.
We're not even on the radar screen.
We got to level up. Jesus.
A Type 1 civilization would be planetary, like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. A Type 2 civilization would be stellar, like the Federation of Planets.
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to be Type 3, galactic, to have the power to bend time into a pretzel. And so, however, one day, if somebody knocks on your door and claims to be your great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter, don't slam the door.
You just don't know.
You just don't know. Maybe
Invite her in and give her a roofie.
Maybe your descendant wants to go backwards in time to meet her illustrious ancestor.
Now,
I don't know why.
Wouldn't a black hole? They're pretty devastating things. I mean, just crushing anything. Even stars into the size of a walnut.
That's the old picture. We see these black holes in outer space, a few thousand of them, and they're spinning. They're spinning very rapidly, and we think they don't collapse to a point, they collapse to a ring. And if you fall through the ring of the center of a black hole, it's like going through the looking glass of Alice. Alice's looking glass is the ring at the center of a black hole, where gravity is finite. That's the loophole that Einstein missed. Einstein thought that a black hole collapses to a dot, in which case you die.
You just accelerate into the middle of it and squish.
Right, but we see these things in outer space. They're all spinning rapidly. We photographed them, a few thousand of them, and they collapse to a ring, we think. Falling through the ring is falling through the looking glass.
You're trashing Einstein, though.
Well, he didn't go far enough.
He didn't have computers.
Didn't have a comb either.
Hey, Dr. Kaku, is there other civilizations out there? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, we think so. And then the question is, how come they don't talk to us and meet us, right?
Right.
Well, if you go down a country road and see an anthill, do you go down to the ants and say, I bring you trinkets, I bring you beads, I give you nuclear energy?
That's some perspective on things right there.
So get me to your ant queen. Or do you simply step on a few of them?
Yeah.
Oh, we're here to be stepped on.
Now you know why they don't visit us.
So you have no doubt there's other civilizations out there?
Oh, yeah, they're out there, definitely.
And do you think the aliens come and visit us at all? Or check us out, or they could care less?
Well, they're probably on the moon. If you saw the movie 2001, the most likely visitation site is the moon. They would land and leave a robot probe, basically a machine that would wait for us to become Type 1, where we become interesting. And 2001, we thought we would be a Type 1 planetary civilization with moonships. Another 100 years will do that. So on our moon is the most likely site for a previous visitation of an alien civilization. And we're too stupid to even know that because we're not even on the moon yet. So, so I think previous visitations are definitely possible. We physicists think the moon is the most likely site of a previous ancient visitation by a passing Type 3 galactic civilization.
Very interesting. Listen, we got to take a break. We're really late. We're going to continue with Dr. Kaku. The book is called Physics of the Impossible. What's the book about again for the people out there? The title isn't doing it justice, really.
Well, it's about everyone who's wondered about phasers and force fields and ray guns and invisibility and teleportation, which we physicists say is impossible today, but possible in the near future.
Very good. We're going to go to the phones next. It's Opie and Anthony. You're checking out the Opie and Anthony Show. We got Dr. Kaku in studio. Physics of the Impossible is the name of your book, sir. I got a question really fast. When I was a kid and I started thinking about the universe and learning about the universe, it scared the crap out of me to the point I couldn't sleep at night. Just how vast and large it was. Does the universe scare you?
No, it doesn't scare me because we now realize that when we look in outer space, we don't see much intelligence. Intelligence is very rare. The very fact that we have intelligence on the Earth means it's precious. Your brain, believe it or not, sitting on your shoulders is the most complex object known to science out to 24 trillion miles, out to the nearest star. So the fact that we have life, we have intelligent life, is incredible because we don't see much out there.
Right.
And for that means that it's very precious. And so instead of being depressed about it, I feel very optimistic and enthralled that here we are, the only intelligence out to 24 trillion miles of the Earth.
It's that whole thing of we can't really comprehend infinity, that
that creeps everybody out.
Makes you, because you can't wrap your mind around something that's never ending.
Yeah, Douglas Adams, the humorist, the science fiction writer, once had a machine that is guaranteed to drive any sane man totally insane. It's a box. You look at a picture. The picture is a picture of the entire universe with an arrow saying, "You are here." Guaranteed to drive any sane person totally insane. The universe is very big, but like I said, intelligence is very rare. We see no evidence.
Believe me, you should see our listeners.
I think we got one.
We see no evidence of intelligent life in our solar system, and you have to go to the nearest star, Alpha Centauri, before there's a possibility of intelligent life.
What about...
How many, was that, like 4-point-something light years?
Yeah, that's right, 4 light years.
Look at that, Jimmy. What about...
you got a gig there?
Yeah.
What about God, sir?
How far is that door to door, Jimmy?
Well, we have Charlton Heston here.
Damn.
Inside track. No, Einstein thought there were 2 types of God. First is the God of prayer and intervention. The God that parts the waters, the God that walks on water. He didn't necessarily believe in the God of intervention. He believed in a different kind of God. He believed in the God of Spinoza, the God of Leibniz, the God of harmony, beauty, elegance, simplicity, the lawgiver. That's the God that Einstein believed in, that the universe is too gorgeous, too beautiful to have been a random, chaotic event. So there had to be laws, there had to be simplicity and beauty, and that's what guides theoretical physicists. What guides us is beauty and simplicity in our equations.
But who created God, then?
Well, we think that there is a multiverse of universes, that our universe was born perhaps budding off a parent universe, like soap bubbles budding off other soap bubbles, and we think that's eternal. This is called eternal inflation, and one of my friends that may actually win the Nobel Prize for coming up with this picture, it fits all the data from the satellites. Eternal inflation, universes budding off and sprouting from other universes all the time.
You got a friend that's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, and we got a friend that has a CD coming out tomorrow. So we're very...
Bobby Kelly.
And you deal with planets, and our friend has small comedians orbiting around him.
Yeah. We're in different places, sir.
I have a question, too. Something, like they talk about the dark matter in the universe.
That's right.
We really don't know what makes up, 80% of the universe? We have no idea what it is.
That's right. Dark energy makes up 73%, dark matter makes up 23%, and atoms only make up 4% of the universe. And we hope to produce dark matter in Geneva, Switzerland in 2 months. You probably saw the headlines in the New York Times. The atom smasher will heat up the earth.
Or on a placemat for Opie.
New York Times. Which
one is that?
Anyway,
is that the big paper? That weighs a lot?
Anyway, the atom smasher we're debuting in 2 months is not going to eat up the Earth, contrary to popular myth. We're not going to destroy the planet. We're not going to create a black hole that's going to eat up the Earth in Geneva.
But how do you know for sure?
People get very worried about
because
that.
They're taking a bit of a chance, I'm thinking.
No, because
you guys are bored.
These are microscopic subatomic black holes. You couldn't even light up a light bulb with these things. And so there's no danger. But we hope to produce dark matter with the atom smasher, starting this summer.
So it's energy. Is it like a physical thing, like a ball you can hold, or is it just an energy?
It's invisible energy. And it's predicted by string theory. String theory predicts dark matter, and string theory is what I do for a living. It's my day job. And string theory, we hope, will allow us to, quote, read the mind of God. This, we think, is the ultimate theory. Wow. The final theory, the theory of everything that eluded Einstein for the last 30 years of his life, and we think we have it.
One of you guys are going to just do an oopsie and destroy the Earth. You know that, right?
Whoops.
There's going to be some kind of oopsie, and we're all done.
The big difference between the doctor and the rest of us, if I had your brain power at that age, instead of an atom smasher, I would have found a way to, look through girls' clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
X-ray specs.
Yes.
Yeah, on the back of the magazine.
Right. Hey, you've been in an elevator with Jimmy, you know that. And he's been talking about you for years on this program, and all he wants is some kind of recognition the next time you see him. That's all he's asking for.
Just a hello.
Just a little hello, a little nod.
Well, next time he asks you a question, remember, the inside of his brain looks like that picture.
What picture you showing?
2 ultimate fighters just kicking each other in the face.
Anthony and I had a debate one time about gravity.
Gravity, yes.
Which I was wrong about.
Everywhere.
And about what made, if a planet has to spin. I thought a planet had to spin.
No, and I said it was mass. Of course, things that have more mass have more gravity, and Jimmy wouldn't listen to me. He thought it was the spinning motion that made gravity. I'm like, no.
Well, you were right, and I
Of course I was.
Dr. Kaku on an elevator, and I asked him about that, and the look he gave me, you would think I would just said, hey, can I have a hug? I know we don't know each other. But he did explain it, and it turns out
Hey, let's go to the phones. We got Kevin in Jersey. Kevin, what's up? We're talking to...
He probably would have liked to have seen gravity in action by you plummeting in the elevator.
We're talking to Dr. Kaku. His book's called Physics of the Impossible. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the good doctor could comment on some of the physics theories related to Lost.
You ever watch Lost?
No, but I understand that they have a time travel episode, right?
Yeah, there's some kind of...
into a vortex and goes backwards in time. Well, like I said, we think that it is possible to go backwards in time. The catch is you have to be a very advanced civilization to do that, capable of manipulating stars, manipulating black holes.
So you got to take your starship and whip it around the sun. And then you got to slow down real quick, and then you got to bring some whales back with you. And
like in Star Trek 4,
of
right?
Course. They always use that one as a cop-out when they had to go back in time. Yeah. It's like, why not just solve every problem that way, Kirk?
Yeah.
It's like, we got to fight? Nah, let's just swing around the sun, and we'll get these Klingons when they're kids.
Yeah. Or Superman 1 at the end of the movie. Superman goes around the Earth, and Lois Lane comes back.
Yeah.
That was really depressing, bringing back Lois Lane.
Yeah, well, believe me, I'm sure it was for him, too.
I thought they finally got rid of that character when she died in Superman 1. Oh, no, Superman has to bring her back.
She was terrible.
That's what happened to Margot Kidder. She wound up naked, crawling behind bushes a few years later. What a psycho she was. What a loon.
Yeah, but you
can't... like Blade Runner.
Yeah, well, anyway, you cannot go backwards in time by whipping around the sun. You can't do that.
No, huh?
But a wormhole is conceivable. I mean, all the equations work. Everything seems to work with wormholes, but not winging around the sun and breaking the light barrier.
Now, is it because of the acceleration? Is it...
You can't go faster than light. That's the problem.
That seems to be the rule of thumb there.
Why, though? Why?
Well, we don't know, but, the Atom Smasher were debuting in 2 months outside Geneva, Switzerland. The particles there go 99.9999999% the speed of light, but they can't make it. They can't break the light barrier. That's an iron law from Einstein, and he's right every single time. The fact that we have hydrogen bombs, the fact that we have the sun bursting in energy is a consequence of the fact you cannot go faster than the speed of light.
Can you use lasers and break into like an underground vault and steal like millions of dollars?
Well, in principle, yeah, you can build a laser.
Of course, you're going to be in Geneva. They got all those big underground banks.
Yeah,
really do some damage over there. I guess
another way to do it is with invisibility. Invisibility is the way to rob a bank, right?
That's right. One of those little so I can sneak in girls' lockers. Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, that too. But we're closing in on invisibility really fast. Proof of principle was demonstrated 2 years ago at Duke University. We can make objects invisible in the future. So
now, is this by bending light?
That's right. You wrap light around an object, so it reforms like a river going around a boulder, and an object becomes invisible. So I write about it in my book, Physics of the Impossible, that the proof of principle was demonstrated. And, of course, the Pentagon is funding it.
It's almost like the Philadelphia experiment that they say never happened.
The Pentagon is not stupid. They know the advantages of an invisible soldier, and they're pouring big bucks now into invisibility research.
You could go up behind the enemy and poke him in the back and go, ha-ha.
That's right.
Ha-ha.
And the bank robbing thing would never work, though, because you'd be invisible, but they'd just see the bags of money floating out so they'd know where you are.
Good point. Ha-ha, flaw. But watching people nude would work.
Now, that's a hell of a power source to bend light.
Doesn't
seem very portable.
Well, with a new substance called metamaterials, light bends all by itself. This has shocked everybody.
Really?
I used to teach in my physics course that invisibility is impossible. Light cannot wrap around an object and reform at the other end. Well, I was wrong, and every single physics textbook on the planet Earth is wrong. Light, in fact, can bend around an object like water around a boulder, reform at the other end effortlessly without energy, and make an object invisible.
Can you do that for us now?
I've always had that question that's boggled me for a bit. If you're in a room with mirrored walls and you light up a laser and then shut it off, why doesn't the laser, much like a bullet, just continue to bounce off of the mirrors and ricochet once the power source is cut off? What happens to the beam that has already left the laser source?
The reason is every time it hits a mirror, you lose about 0.1%, 0.5% of the energy. So after 100 reflections, you've lost a considerable amount of power.
But in essence, then there is a small moment where when you do shut the power, that beam is
That's right.
bouncing. It's just happening so quickly. It's dissipating so quickly that you can't
see it, right? But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have two mirrors back to back. You see an infinite sequence of yourself as light goes back and forth, right?
And that's how Anthony solved the mystery of the timers at the Comac Motor Lodge.
The mirror room, of course.
Yeah, the answer.
It wasn't a laser firing off either. I tell you, my friend.
Wait, and how big was the object you made invisible? How big was the object that you made light go around?
The object that was invisible is about 2 inches. It was made invisible under microwave radiation, like what you have in your oven. However, visible light was now shown to bend in the same way just a few months ago at Caltech and also in Germany. So this is rocking the world of physics. We can now conceive of Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, which we once thought violated the laws of physics. But proof of principle has been demonstrated now.
Wow. You know what you're like every question you want to ask for science that you think of, you just like, okay, what about this?
I know, it's like, hey.
Did you guys crack homophobic jokes when Lance Bass went up in that rocket? Behind his back.
Colin just,
Hey, I like it though. What's the coolest trick you could do?
The coolest trick?
You're a magician?
Yeah. He's one of the greatest minds in the world. He must have some neat bar tricks.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, we like to read people's minds. The magic tricks for telepathy, we understand. However, we think that real telepathy is also possible, not just the tricks that we sometimes amaze our friends with. At Brown University, they took a stroke victim who was paralyzed, put a chip in this paralyzed person's brain, connected the chip to a laptop, and in 3 hours...
Bob Kelly.
In 3 hours, the guy is playing video games, reading email. He's totally paralyzed.
And doing lines with Chaz Palminteri.
You can send email. And in the future,
really,
this is with stroke victims. In the future, even normal people will have a chip in their brain.
Sure.
And you'll surf the web by thinking about it. Just by thinking, you'll be able to access the entire internet. And this is coming. Proof of principle was demonstrated 2 years ago at Brown University. Direct interface now between the brain and a machine. First time in history. Not the quacks that are out there, but real interface between a human being and a laptop computer.
It's always been a goal, I guess, to take that little bit of energy that the brain transmits out there and kind of harness it. And I know when I'd always try that. Me and my brother or sisters sit around, try to read each other's mind, and it just never would pan out. Or try to move something with just brain power. Yeah. And it's very frustrating. Little matchstick and nothing. Can't do it.
And it's also possible in another way. We can MRI scan the brain, and when you tell a lie, it takes more energy than to tell the truth. Because to tell a lie, you have to know the truth, the cover-up, and the consequence of the cover-up. Well, that takes a lot of energy that can be picked up with an MRI brain scan. With 98% accuracy.
That'll scare Steve. What? Yes, I'm straight.
I love women.
Doctor, could you use some of those laser powers to fling this bad grout-work body around the room next time you come in?
And, for the
Push him
record,
against the wall.
Colin is pointing across the room at either me or Eric. I can't decide who it is.
Well, at our university, we have 1 trillion-watt lasers. We have lasers. Trillion-watt lasers. Yeah, we can build those things, plow right through a concrete.
Yeah, that'll get a little hot.
Wow. Could you fling him? Could you bring him as an experiment for everybody just throw him around the room and smash him against the wall?
Well, if we did that, he'd be toast. Literally toast. We can do that in the laboratory now. However, people ask about ray guns, right? Then why can't you build a portable ray gun? The problem is a portable power pack.
Right.
You can build a laser beam, but you have to have a nuclear power plant behind you to do this. And you can't enter a firefight in Star Wars with a nuclear power plant on your back.
No, you gotta make that smaller.
Pack, yeah, that's the problem with ray guns. Hey, otherwise, we could do it.
I got one question. What happens to you when you die?
Well, we don't know. That's one of these great eternal questions. However, most of my friends would essentially say that when you die, your memory circuits, just like your CD-ROM, just like your hard drive, goes on the blink.
Oh.
What happens to a computer when a hard drive goes out, When
you don't have any, means of storage, what What happens what happens?
However, I like to give me a however.
Okay.
Give me a however. I need a good however right about now.
Okay. However, there are two ways of attaining immortality. Okay. Two ways. One, we've now isolated many of the genes for the aging process. SIR2, age 1, age 2. Many of the genes controlling the aging process have now been unraveled, and we can double the lifespan of almost any animal that you see in the animal kingdom. Second of all, my friends who work in artificial intelligence tell me that our descendants, maybe 100 years from now, may have an option, two options. One, get old, decrepit, decay, and die. The other option is one day merging with our creations and waking up with the power of a Superman, with the body of a cyborg, genetically enhanced, and living forever with superhuman powers.
You know what sucks about that? We're falling just short of all that technology. That really
we'll be the last generation that gets to just drop dead.
Right. We're going to fall just short after all this time.
Great.
Yeah. Well, we have to go. We could talk to you all morning, man.
We have to plug the book too. Dr. Michio Kaku, Physics of the Impossible. It's number 12 on the bestseller list, and there are a bunch of other books you have out too. Hyperspace, Beyond Einstein, and a couple more I can't remember. Parallel Worlds, and
my website mkaku.org, mkaku.org.
And you give some great talks I saw, like where you sit and just explain into a camera a lot of these things about black holes and wormholes. Can they get all that on your website?
Yeah, a lot of that's on the website. And tonight I'll be doing a live chat at 9 o'clock on my website. Any and all questions, live chat tonight. You can interact with me directly rather than having to go through the radio tonight, 9 o'clock.
Be idiot children like we are and just ask them questions about science that you've always wanted to know in physics.
Yeah. Mkaku, Kaku.org, and also your same name on MySpace?
That's right. And also check out, YouTube and things like that. I'm there as well.
Match.com?
No, not there yet.
A guy like this,
physicist looking for.
A guy like this should have the most friends ever on MySpace. Wouldn't you want him as a friend? Just to make you feel a little better?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be able to
comfort you.
I wouldn't be able to understand his email blasts. Subsequently, we shall
All right, we have to get out of here. We're heading over to XM Satellite Radio. Dr. Kaku, it's a pleasure.
Thank
you, sir.
Absolutely.
Robin.